Okay, we are starting a new series today called Scary Movies, where we're going to be going line by line, verse by verse, through the heart of Jesus' famous Sermon on the Mount. And this is section in particular we're going to be unpacking in the month of October is the section dealing with the difficult people in your life. Now, we all have someone who's difficult in our life, right? Someone who's just maybe it's annoying or someone who keeps letting us down. Someone where it's like, oh, I got someone on my mind right now when I'm thinking of a difficult person. Maybe you're here today and you're like, no, I don't know anyone. No one comes to mind. But there's people around you that's like giving you a look right now, like, I hate to break it to you, but it might be you. If someone especially mysteriously invited you to church, like, hey, you need to hear these sermons in October, maybe. It's fine. So the scary movie we're going to be talking about today is one of my favorites, The Mummy. The Mummy. The Mummy, you know, the story about people who clothe themselves and wrap themselves up in false promises in the name of self-preservation. You know any mummies? Right? The mummies who overpromise and underdeliver. They're just trying to make themselves look good, but they keep wrapping themselves in false promises, and they try to preserve their reputation and they try to preserve their image, but they keep letting people down over and over and over again. Know any mummies? Any mummies in the house today? So we're going to talk about how to deal with the mummies in your life and how to avoid becoming a mummy in your life today. So I'm excited about this one. Now, why I was thinking about the mummy, there's a story that happened. I grew up in a farm in northwest central Indiana, okay? And there's a season of our life when my boys were little where we lived near Chicago, okay? We're just a couple hour drive to Chicago. And we went to the famous Chicago Field Museum because we heard that there was an exhibit opening up about a mummy, right? They had a mummy come to the Field Museum in Chicago. So it's a big deal. We made the drive up there. We really wanted to see the mummy. It's all over the news. Like, I think we got a picture of the mummy, like the mummy. Yeah, this one. Like we see it, we're like, wow, a mummy. Let's go check it out. This will be amazing. And then we get there, and this is what we see unwrapped. We're like, you want to see it? And it's that. And we're like, huh. so, so mummies, again, Jesus will talk about whitewashed tombs, how you're making yourself look good, but on the inside, you're dead. Right? You're dead on the inside. You're just letting people down. You're just disappointing people because your actions don't match up with your words. I love what James says about this in the New Testament. He says, hey, faith without works is dead, right? Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. If your words are not matched up by actions, you're going to be letting people down, and you'll be like this mummy. So everyone was disappointed. So the mummy appears on the news again, and they're like, wait a minute, though. We found the vocal cords of this mummy. And we made a 3D printing image. Come see the mummy. It's really cool. Come back. See the mummy.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
Can we play that again? Because I just love that.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
The mummy sounds like Will Smith. I think that's funny. Ah! you, I know you all want to do it. You want to sound like a mummy right now? Ah! Yeah. Ah! Okay, so we all have people in our lives who are overpromising and underdelivering. They're wrapping themselves up in false promises in the name of self-preservation. That's what they're trying to do. And so we all know a mummy. Now, a quick disclaimer before we really get into this. I know sometimes your actions can't match up your words because of extenuating circumstances. Like there actually is traffic. There actually is a cow in the road in Vermont. So you can't get there on time. I know sometimes you have a perfect storm, just a day where all hell breaks loose and you're just like, I can't make the commitments I made because a bunch of things happen. Stuff happens sometimes. It is true. I'm talking about the chronically over-promising, under-delivering people in our lives. I'm talking about the people who do it so much, so often, people figure it out and they go, wait a minute, I see a pattern with this guy. His actions don't match his words. Now, we see it played out sometimes like this. How about early birds versus late birds, okay? Got a picture of an early bird up here. Yeah. Early bird gets the worm. Are there any early birds in the house today? Yeah, you're nice and polite. Hands up. Some of you are like, I'm going to get up before the sun. God's not even awake yet, but I'm up and I'm ready to go. If you're 5 minutes early, you're late. That's an early bird, right? Yeah. Now I got a picture of a late bird. So how many late birds are in the house? Yeah. They're always loud, the late birds. There's people that are like, Braden, why did you start this service at 9:30? Why can't we have an 11 o'clock service again? A, invite your friends. B, I guarantee you'd be here at 11:15. I know that would happen. Okay, so it doesn't matter what happens. So I am a late bird. I have a confession to make. I am a big time late bird. I'm fashionably late with this hair. Right, I'm a late bird a lot. And I've noticed some of my kids are late birds too, and they're taking after me. So there's like little tricks and tips I'm trying to teach them, especially my daughter, okay? Like, my daughter loves Starbucks. And I'm like, okay, here's a rule of thumb, London. Here's a rule of thumb. You can be late to a meeting. You can. It happens sometimes. You can go to Starbucks, but you cannot have Starbucks in your hand and be late to the meeting. Do you understand? She's like, I think I get it. Yeah, you can be late sometimes to meetings, and you can go to Starbucks sometimes, but you cannot be late to a meeting with Starbucks. That's just a faux pas. Okay, that's a little tip and trick. Okay, late birds in the room. Late birds in the room, you need to know this. The early birds secretly hate you. Do you know that? They secretly hate you. You're secretly messing with them on the inside. They're too polite to tell you, but they're really offended and bothered by the fact that you're not there on time. I have a friend who's a notorious early bird, and I'm a late bird. And when we lived in Indiana, I was a pastor in a small town church called Rochdale. Rochdale, Indiana was my town. His town was Ladoga. So Nathan is the pastor at a church in Ladoga. I'm the pastor at a church in Rochdale. They're 8 minutes apart, back road through the cornfield, 8 minutes apart. We would get lunch periodically, and I was texting him one time. I said, hey, Nate, I'm going to pick you up for lunch at 11:30 today. And he sent me a text back, and he said, no, you're not. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I will be there at 11:30. He goes, absolutely not. You will not be here at 11:30. You will be here at 11:40. You say you'll be here at 11:30, but you never get here at 11:30. And I was mad, so I'm furiously texting him. And I'm like, how dare you say that? I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of the cloth. I have integrity. I'll be there at 11:30. No, I will be there at 11:15. And he goes, want to bet? And I go, yes, I will buy you lunch if I'm not there at 11:15 a.m. on the dot. I arrived in Ladoga at 11:57 a.m. Too many good YouTube videos in my office that day. Okay, so there was a study done a couple years ago about the human brain and the reactions we have when people let us down, when people don't, when their actions don't match up with their words. And the response is an intense one. It's actually a feeling of betrayal, like they've been stabbed in the back. They feel devastated, and it's really messing with our minds, and we have to create defense mechanisms to guard ourselves from it. We have to make boundaries. Some of you're so notoriously not delivering on your promises that people stopped asking you to participate a long time ago. They stopped counting on you. And sometimes it's a joke. Like, yeah, we laugh, but it's not funny, is it? It's not funny anymore, is it? We're letting people down when we don't keep our word or our promises. And I'm thinking of these scenarios here. Like, there's the cheater that's been caught for the third time, on his knees begging, saying, it won't happen again, I swear, I promise. There's the kids let down again because their parents still won't go to the game they promised they would go to. There's the people, the employee, continuously let down by the boss who's still promising a bonus or a raise around the corner, but they get let down over and over and over again. There's people angry in drive-thrus right now because some certain fast food companies have jacked the prices up and made the quality worse. It bothers us, right? It's not good. But there's our own stuff too. There's the promises we make ourselves. Like there's the New Year's resolutions that never make it to January 5th. There's There's the gym memberships that never get used. There's the I'm looking in the mirror, we got this, but we don't got this. There's people struggling with addictions, saying, I'm going to kick it this time, I promise, I swear. And each time it seems like our rhetoric needs to match the intensity to try to make up for the disappointment and the failure. So we try to continuously outdo ourselves with our promises in an effort to overcompensate for the times we've let ourselves down or we've let those around us down. So Jesus has some things to say about this idea here, being people of our word. Jesus wants his followers to be people of character and integrity. He wants his followers' words to carry weight. He wants us to be trustworthy people. He wants that for us. And so when it comes to Jesus, his words in the Sermon on the Mount here, he's talking about the mummies in our world that are wrapping themselves up in false promises in the name of self-preservation. And here's what he says. Verse 33 of Matthew chapter 5, he says this, again, you have heard it said to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made. If you're going to be people of God, know this, God keeps his word. God fulfills his promises. When he says, never will I leave you or forsake you. When he says, I'm near the brokenhearted. When he says, I'm your ever-present help in times of trouble. When he says, I'll be with you always to the end of the age. He means it. He means it. And Jesus wants his followers, if you're going to be people of God, make sure your words and your actions match. So he says, fulfill to the Lord your vows that you have made. That's what the people heard a long time ago. But then he says this, but I tell you, he's going to one-up it. I tell you, don't even swear an oath at all. By heaven, for it is God's throne, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And then I love what he says here. He says, you can't even make your hair on your head white or black. Don't even swear by your head. You can't even make one hair white or black. So for all the control people in the room, okay, you need to know this. Sometimes we think, hey, life will go well and everything will be great and I'll finally be happy if everything around me, if all my circumstances just get it together and figure it out. If everything goes as it should, my life will be great, it'll improve, and I'll finally be happy. You don't have a happiness problem, you have a control problem. More specifically, you have a self-control problem, and that's what the heart of this is. Jesus is talking about self-control. You can't even control the hairs on your head. So imagine this. Like when you think of your circle of influence and the things you can control, okay? You can't control the world, can you? No. Can't control the universe. You can't control what your country does. You can't control what your state does. You can't control what your city does. You can't even control what your family members do. And sometimes you feel out of control for yourself. You can't even control, it doesn't matter how many Gesterman gels or Rogaines you put on your head. You can't control. You can't control even the color of the hair on your head. So what can you control? You can control your actions and your words. You can. You can do it. And how much different could your family be, your neighborhood be, your world be, if we were just a group of people whose words and actions matched, if we were people of integrity? One more thing he says here. He says, simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from evil, okay? There's an evil place, and it comes from it, false promises in the name of self-preservation. So make sure your yes is yes and your no is no. Make sure your yes or your no match your actions. I love this word integrity, all right? We get the word integrity from another word called integral. This idea that everything holds together, wholeness, completeness, okay? So if you're a person of integrity, that means there's nothing going haywire. Your words and your actions match, okay? If you're standing on a two-story deck that does not have integrity, it means it wants to hold itself up, but the rusty nails aren't doing the job. Would you step out on that wobbly deck? No, because it's not a deck with integrity. However, if you're a person of integrity, your words and your actions match. You're not at war with yourself. You're not divided. You're not a house divided. You can stand. You can stand and be a person of character and integrity. Your yes can be yes. Your no can also be no. Back in the day when Jesus did this, their court system looked a lot different than ours does today. Today, if you go to court and testify in court, you have to put your hand on a book and you have to raise your other hand and you have to say, you have to follow what the bailiff's saying. Do you swear? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God? Yes, sir. Yeah, I do. I swear. Um, so you have to do that. And then there's penalties if your words and actions don't match. There's penalties for lying under oath. There's penalties for filling false information on affidavits and documents like that. There's grave penalties if you don't match what you're saying, if you don't have integrity. But the courts during Jesus' time were different. They didn't have Judge Judy. They didn't have courthouses. The courts in the time of Jesus were at the city gates, okay? And the city gates were where people of retirement age who had nothing to do because they didn't work anymore, they used their wisdom instead of their bodies. They used their wisdom. They've seen the sun rise and set more than other people, so they would just sit at the city gates, and people would revere the older people of the city. So they would sit at the city gates, and if you had any matters that were in dispute and you need them to rule on, the whole crowd would gather. So old people sitting at the gates, they have wisdom. If you have a problem, you come up to them and go, listen, hey, I have an issue with this person, and they hear you out, and then they become a judge or an arbiter. There's this story where this guy runs up to Jesus and says, hey, Jesus, tell my brother to give me half the stuff in our dead dad's attic. And Jesus says, whoa, 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 who made me a judge or an arbiter between you? Go to the city gates if you want to sort that silly stuff out. Don't be greedy, is kind of what he says. So you go to the gates, you have your issue, and the person that's defending themselves would try to use all this rhetoric to try to sway the older people, the judges and the arbiters and the crowd. So they would use this really flowery language. So if you came up with someone and said, hey, my friend here is chronically late all the time. And then this guy has to use this big language. He's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I swear I will be on time. I swear by heaven and by earth, by Jerusalem. I swear on my mother's grave and my child's life. I swear by the moon and the stars in the sky. I'll be there. For better, for worse, till death do us part. I'll love you every single beat of my heart. I swear. Okay, and then they would be swayed maybe by that. And Jesus is like, listen up. What if you were just a person of integrity and your yes or your no matched your actions and people could take you seriously? And what if your words carried weight? And what if you were a person of integrity and had trust? What if that happened? What if your yes or no was enough? And you don't have to do all this pageantry to try to convince people that you're a person of your word. What if you were just a person of your word? Imagine. Actions are more important than words. Habits are more important than goals. What if you just made your yes match your actions and your no match your actions? What would happen then? Let's talk about yes or no real quick. Okay? Let's just talk about it. Okay? This is the word yes. This is what it looks like. Okay? See it? What's the next word? Yeah, no. Some of you are like, what is this no you speak of? I've never said that in my life. I have a real hard time saying it, which means I have a real hard time hearing it. No. Okay, let's go back to yes real quick. I want to talk about yes. Yes is very powerful. Yes is expensive. Yes costs you something. Yes is going to cost you either your time or your money, your resources, your energy. Sometimes yeses cost you insanity. It costs you your mind. Yes is expensive. Some yeses are more expensive than others. They absolutely are. Mainly, yeses are going to cost you your time, though. So people understand that, and so they'll be like, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" And if you say yes, you can say, you owe me a favor," or "Hey, can I steal you for a minute?" And then sometimes you're like, I'll pay you for your time." Like, yes is expensive. I've seen people though at the end of their life, and they have a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of time, and they wish they could take some of those yeses back. They said yes a lot in the name of getting money, and now they don't have a lot of time anymore, and they're like, I wish I could get some yeses back. Human beings are finite. We only have so much time and energy and resources. We treat yes like there's an infinite amount of yeses, and there are, but there's not enough yeses in our actual bank account of human capabilities to cash those yeses. And so you can be out there just dishing out yeses like Oprah. You get a yes, and you get a yes, and you get a yes. You could do that, but you don't have enough time, energy, or resources to back up all the yeses you're saying, and that's a problem. That is a big problem. And some days the chicken comes home to roost, and you realize you're a day late and a dollar short because you sent so many yeses into the world, and you only have so much time, energy, resources, effort. That's why no is very important. Let's talk about no for a second. No saves you yeses. Do you know that? No, saying no is a superpower. Because think about Jesus for a minute, okay? You might be saying, yeah, well, it's cool. Jesus says yes all the time. He can do it. He's the Son of God. He's got all these superpowers. Jesus' superpower is no, believe it or not. Jesus says no at least 20 times in the Gospels. Did you know that? Jesus. He says no a lot. He says no. He lets people down quite a bit. He says, "Hey, Jesus, can you do this?" No. What? But you're Jesus. You have to. No. 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 Jesus sometimes sounds like the parking lot, the crossing the street guy when you press the button. Wait. 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 I think I got a picture of Jesus doing this. Wait. Wait. Here's my favorite part. Next picture. Walk sign is on. Walk sign is on. Get it? Because he walks on. Okay. But it's a superpower Jesus has to say no. In John chapter 11, someone runs up to Jesus and says, "Hey, your buddy, your friend Lazarus is sick. He's sick. Come on." And then it says he heard it, but he stayed where he was for 2 more days. And then when he finally gets there, Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 days. He says no quite a bit. He says no a lot. Every yes costs you something. Every no protects a yes. Make sure what you say yes to matters. Jesus knows who he is and what he was sent to do. He knows exactly who he is. So he has crystal clarity on yes and no. Yes and no. That's what Jesus does over and over again. His yes is yes, and his no is no. The Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 7 is really relatable. I love what he says here. Super relatable. I just want you to see this. This is Apostle Paul, okay? He wrote a lot of the New Testament. Apostle Paul. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyone relate to that? I don't know what I'm doing. The Apostle Paul is like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Because I don't do what I want to do. Instead, I do the things that I hate. The things I want to do, I don't do. And the things I don't want to do, I do. And later on, you'll say, what a wretched man I am. Well, who will save me from this body of death? Thanks be to Jesus. Thanks be to Jesus is what he ends up saying. But he's just like, the things I don't want to do, I do. And the things I do want to do, I don't do. A recipe for a life well lived is to say yes to the things you want to do and no to the things you don't want to do. Can we do that? Maybe? I shouldn't have said maybe. Do you know why I shouldn't have said maybe? Because there's no word in the Aramaic language, the language Jesus spoke, for maybe. Did you know that? There's no word. Jesus says, let your yes be yes and your no be no, because maybe didn't exist then. Maybe, we love maybe, don't we? Maybe is a fancy way of saying no. right? But the people who hear you maybe are thinking you said yes, right? Like I said, I grew up in Indiana, the Midwest. Do you know, like all these old farmers in the Midwest, what they always said? They instilled this in me. They said, "Your word is your bond," right? You're a Hoosier. You're from Indiana. You're Braden. Your word is your bond. Okay, that's what they would say over and over again. Then we moved to Vermont. We're Flatlanders. Sorry, our word is our bond. We moved to Vermont, and then we came across this thing called the Vermont Yes, where they say yes, but they meant no. Some of them are nice. They'll be like, maybe, maybe. Who's to say? Yeah. Hey, you want to come to this thing? Yeah. Okay, we'll see you there. Uh huh. No, you won't. So let's get practical really quick, okay? This is for the mummies in your life, how to deal with the mummies in your life, and how to avoid becoming a mummy. Let's go through this real quick, okay? Number one, set boundaries, okay? You must know what you are capable of doing, right? Set boundaries with yourself and say, no, I can't do that, actually. I don't have the bandwidth or the resources to do that right now. Hey, I hope your party is the best party ever, but I'm not going to be there. It's okay to say that. That's better than saying, oh, yeah, maybe I'll be there, and then don't show up. Okay? Set boundaries. Set boundaries. Know your limits. Your limits end at what you say and what you do. Okay? Let's narrow it down to what you say and what you do, and let's make sure they match. So set boundaries. Second thing, be honest. Be honest. If there's a mummy in your life saying, oh, yeah, I'll do that, just go. You can be like my friend Nathan and go, no, you won't. You actually won't. Um, you can be honest. Also, if it's someone needing your time, I had a really great mentor, a friend and mentor. He's a senior pastor. I was the youth minister. And he's just like, hey, before this conversation starts, no, I can give you my full undivided attention, and I will help in any way I can for the next 20 minutes. And he honored that. Minute 21, he's like, I love you, get out of my office. He's honest. I loved this guy. Okay, I loved it. He also said, here's another rule. If my wife calls or texts me, I will know, and I will stop this meeting and call her back. I love you, but I love her more. It's kind of how he was. And good. Yeah, be honest. Also model this stuff, right? You can't just be a person railing against people whose yeses and nos don't match their actions when you don't have matching actions with your words. Jesus has a word for that called hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite, okay? All right, and a couple more here. Have you tried under-promising and over-delivering? That's cool. That's a really good thing to do. I'll just let that sit there. All right, and also make your yeses matter. Don't, the Apostle Paul, if he was here right now, he would be saying, hey, say yes to the things you want to do by saying no to the things you don't want to do, right? You can actually be honest enough to go, actually, no, I don't want to do that. You can do that. Make your yeses matter. Make sure the things you're saying yes to matter. Make sure you're saying yes to your family, your kids, right? Make sure you're saying yes to that instead of all the other stuff, Make sure your yeses matter. One more amazing piece of advice I received a long time ago, and I can't wait to share it with you. The best time to say no is before you say yes. Right? See, we all got it backwards. We'll say no after we say yes. Don't do that. Do the opposite of that. The best time to say no is before you say yes. And get maybe out of here. Let's just throw maybe into the sun. Don't say maybe. There's a lot of bad words in the Christian bubble. Let's add maybe to the top of that list, please. No maybe. All right. One more thing here. I don't often practice what I preach in this area. I just need you to know that. You probably have known that about me. I'm trying. I want to be better at it. So this sermon was just as much for me as it is for you. The only difference between you and I is that I hear this sermon a couple days before you do. That's really it. But this whole week I'm like, oh, yeah, yes. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Because Your decisions and your actions and the things you say yes to have a ripple effect, and it affects not only those around you, it affects you. Let me just tell you about the Friday I had. Okay? Started the day here. There's an awesome worship meeting, a worship team practice. I'm not on the worship team, but I really wanted to be here, and I really wanted to see it, and I really wanted to say thank you to them. And I did. I loved it. And I knew I had an appointment for my job as a hospice chaplain. I knew I had an appointment. I needed to sit with someone who was really going through a hard time. And I knew I needed to be there at 1 o'clock. And I knew I needed to leave here because it's on the other side of the state. I knew I needed to leave here at 11. I left here at 11:42. So I'm calling them in Woodstock. Isn't Woodstock traffic crazy, leaf peeping season? Oh, don't worry, just get here when you get here. Whew. Okay, good. So I get there. Also, I said yes to a shuttle just for Christmas money, you know? So I needed to pick up hikers in Buell's Gore on Appalachian Gap by Mount Ellen, you know? And then I needed to take them to Stowe. And then I needed to drop them off at Stowe. I needed to meet them at 3, and then I needed to get them to Stowe by 3:40. Then I needed to come back because my buddy Ross is here, and he's driving from Middlebury, and he wants me to come and help set the lights, okay? That's what needs to happen. As I'm driving to this stop number 2, I get a call. Hey, you're running out of the house so fast to get to your meeting, you forgot to let the pug back in the house. And I'm like, Doug Gage is here working at the church, and he's like, hey, your pug's running around. I get a call from my barber that I don't see often. But I get a call from my barber saying, hey, your pug's running around. I get all these texts and calls as I'm driving to meeting number 2 on the other side of the state going, your pug's running loose all over Rutland. So the pug's running loose because I'm running late, and hundreds of people are sharing this image of this pug. There's people crying, my kids are crying, there's search parties, flashlights, looking under bushes, and I'm on the other end of the state, and I am late. Now, I did give this guy a lot of time, and I did need to do this. So I leave that meeting an hour late because I spent an extra hour with this guy, and I'm calling the hikers going, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. I was 2 hours late to get them. Then we had to go through Stowe. All the while, I'm getting all these texts. Your pug's running around. Your pug has a new identity. Your pug got a new driver's license. Your pug's got a passport. I'm sorry. I'm in Buell's Gore. So then I got the hikers, and I'm taking them to Stowe. And the Stowe traffic is actually crazy. All these people are peeping leaves. So I drop them off, and I'm telling Ross, hey, I'm almost there. Hey, Ross, I see Killington. Hey, Ross, I'm almost there. Hey, Ross, thanks for waiting. Hey, Ross, thank you. You're a pal. You're a sport. I finally rolled in, what, 9? 9 o'clock when I was supposed to meet him here at 6:30. But then I made a commitment to paint and do all this stuff too. So I'm here trying to get this place ready for you guys. So I'm up way after midnight on Friday night trying to get this place ready. All these fun changes for October. So the next morning, again, I got a 3-year-old, and we needed to go to this awesome father and son event. And it starts at 10. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to do it. I know I'm tired. I overslept. So we're cobbling together the kid. The pug got found, by the way. That was fun. Got found without me. I'm taking the kid to this awesome father-son event the next day. And it started at 10. And it's 10:30 because I overslept. But you know what I had when I was late to this meeting in my hand? A Starbucks cup. And they say, hi, you're a little bit late. And you know what I said to them? Blah! Will you stand with me? I want to say a blessing over you guys. May you be people of your word. May your yes match your actions, and may your no match your actions. May your yes be yes, and your no be no. May you understand that yeses are expensive, and fool's gold and counterfeit is not good enough. And make sure that the things you say yes to matter. And may you be a person whose words carry weight because you're a person of integrity. And may those around you trust you and trust Jesus because of you. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I'm just going to say a prayer for you, and then we'll be dismissed. God, thank you so much for your word. Thank you that we can be people of integrity. Thank you for these words of Jesus, this encouragement. We're not just going to clothe ourselves in false promises and trying to just make up for things. Instead, we're going to be people of our word, people of integrity. Help us know that our words and actions have ripples effects that impact not only us, but those around us. Help us be people of integrity and people that are trustworthy. It's in the name of Jesus I pray all these things. Amen.